This podcast, this should be a victim mentality hating podcast because
Every time.
I hate victim mentality. I hate it because I think it's the most dangerous thing ever. Welcome back to Profound Profanity. I'm Joe.
I'm Charles.
I'm Nicole.
I'm Sharon.
And we have very important things to talk about today. Thank you for coming. All of you guys, especially you two, thank you for coming. Thank you for coming once again. You guys had a little break last week. You said you went to SD?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
Went to Gaslamp.
Okay.
So we were at an Airbnb. And then also at the beach.
What is Gaslamp?
Oh, it's like a street, and it's filled with like bars and clubs, and just like everyone is out at night.
Oh, I
Like-
think I know what you're talking about.
Like LA looks so dead compared to SD at night.
Okay, so what's like the scene like? What exactly did you do there?
Let me think.
Did you approach any man?
No. There are like a variety of different things. But promoters like come up to you. I guess we were also a group of girls. There was like 8 of us. And then we went to Lavo, I think. Like this Italian restaurant. And they had like a lychee martini. And it had boba balls, like the popping boba.
Okay.
And then inside the popping boba, it was alcohol.
Okay.
So it's like very. You have to drink it together though, because at first we were like sipping it, which is where all the sweet is, and then once we got to like the boba balls, everything was just pure alcohol. But it was kind of fun. And then we went to. The promoter came up to us.
Okay.
We were like following her.
It was a girl promoter.
Yeah, this time it was a girl. The other two were. Oh, there was a guy, and then there was another girl, and there was like a rodeo type of club bar thing with like a bull riding, whatever. And they give out like overalls for like girls to wear because most of us are like in dresses.
Yeah.
We didn't do that though.
Oh, I see.
But at the other club, they gave us free alcohol, a table, champagne, and then the music was good, but the people were okay.
Why?
So we were
What kind of people were there?
It was just musty a little bit on the dance floor, so we just stayed at
What's
the
the
table.
demographic?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you because I wasn't paying attention. Because we were at the table.
You didn't see people there?
Well, I mean, we just it just didn't matter to me to look.
Oh, okay.
But
Colorblind, I guess. Very.
it's just like blocked out my memory because all my friends were there, so I was just more focused on that, and it was her birthday.
I see.
But
Okay. What else did you do?
I was only there for a day. We went to this. What is it called? This is the next day.
Literally?
This is the next day. That's why. I was only there for a day. But then the next morning, we went to like this coffee shop and then Swami's Cafe or something. That place was pretty good. It's like burritos. I had like a shrimp wrap, and there was like cranberries in it and walnut with like balsamic dressing. It sounds so weird me saying all of it, but it tasted so good.
Okay.
And then at the coffee shop, I saw this dog, and it was huge. It was literally like 4 foot tall, 5 foot tall or something.
Yeah.
And then it was like, I forgot what it's called, like an Irish...
Sheepdog.
Not a sheepdog. Irish something dog. But apparently it's like the tallest dog in the world. And like on its hind legs, it's like 7 foot tall. It was
like a Great
massive.
Dane or something?
It's Irish something. I just forgot the second half.
Okay.
But
So if I were to go to SD, do you recommend going to Gaslamp?
yeah, I like the vibes. It's like fun because everyone's out. You
But
know?
you didn't see anybody.
I mean, it was just like whatever to me. That's why.
Okay. I see.
But the vibes are there. You know what I mean? Everyone's out. Everyone's dressed up. Everyone's going somewhere. Everyone's doing something.
Yeah.
And like, honestly, if you get bored of one club, you go to another one, or you go to a bar,
Yeah.
or you just go to a restaurant.
So you didn't pay for any of the entrance fees.
Mm-mm.
You were able
And we
to get in
skipped the
for
line
free.
too.
Yeah. How many of
Yeah.
you guys were there?
8.
There was 8 girls in one group.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
So, I
Okay.
mean, maybe that's also why, but it was fun.
Nice. Okay. What's the quote? I don't know. Like she didn't really have an exciting story. For
I
me to,
know,
like,
because
go
I
off
didn't
of.
really do anything
Okay, what's the
crazy.
quote? Okay, this is a quote. Do not fear the word no, but be afraid of the possibility of a yes that you have prematurely destroyed because you decided to quit before the clock strikes 12.
Yeah. Yes. I understood it.
Okay.
Because don't say no too quick because you might be ruining future opportunities.
Yeah, basically.
I feel like that goes hand in hand with the whole never say never thing. People say, I'll never do this, I'll never do that, blah, blah, blah. But then later down the line, you like change. And so
Mhm.
something that you thought you would have never done before, you suddenly are like okay with it, or like you'll do it and you won't even think twice about it anymore.
Is this from personal experience? Is there something that you thought you would never do but you did?
I can't think of anything specific.
I see. Is there something that you thought you would never do but you ended up doing?
Drinking.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Drinking alcohol. But
Really, you thought that you would never drink alcohol?
yeah. Like I vowed to myself I would never drink when I. As I
Oh,
was
you
growing up.
did?
Yeah. But
Is there a reason for that?
yeah, there's a reason for that. But
Mhm.
I'd say with that quote, sometimes you just don't know if like what it will amount to like later on, right? Like I'm pretty sure you guys can recount experiences where you like decline something, right? But then like a few months down the line, if you had accepted it, it would have been very beneficial for you. Such as like, I don't know, like for example, like should you got out too quick, right? Like if you had stayed in, if you had just said, yes, and then just stayed in for a bit, you might have made more. But
Yeah.
the thing is, like, we don't know, like, if it'll amount to something meaningful at the end of the day,
Mhm.
or like
Yeah, but I think that's exactly why you should be so quick to say no, because you don't know what the future outcome might be. You know?
yeah,
Yeah. This is like more about like taking that chance rather than just saying no before you know anything about it.
Yeah.
No, that's exactly what he was saying.
It's like you don't even get the opportunity to do it or like even see because you just didn't even try
yeah,
at all.
because you didn't know at the first place, like when you were looking
Yeah.
at this opportunity in the first place. Let's say like it's like a startup company, right?
Mhm.
Just starting out. You look at them, they're in debt, right? They're in shambles right now.
Mhm.
And then they're saying yes to you. And then they're saying, oh, like we might not be able to pay you right now as much, but
Mhm.
here you're going to have like a good position. And like when you first look at it, right? Like you don't know the future of this company. You know what I mean? So like
Mhm.
sometimes you really just don't know is what I wanted to say. Like for example, there was a photographer at my lab that he came in first time last year. When he
Mhm.
first came in, he didn't even know how to load the camera with film.
Mhm.
Now he's getting asked by like various like brands to like shoot for, like campaigns for them. And we would have never known that to happen, right? Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you just never know for a lot of things.
Because you didn't expect it at the beginning.
Yeah.
That's also like prejudgment.
Yeah. But like, wouldn't you say like a lot of the times, like when you're making decisions like that, like
You're
being very calculative and like thinking deeply
Yeah.
about like, oh, what are the risks, right? Like
Mhm.
of me getting into this, and what is the possible outcome? What is like the percentage of that kind of thing happening? What is the percentage of this happening? And yeah, no, like I just wanted to say like it's you just never know
I see what you're
whether
saying.
you're saying yes to a good opportunity or to like a bad opportunity.
Is that how your mindset is right now? You're like kind of have your heart open to everything.
Yeah, like it's just like, but when I do look at opportunities, it's just like I'm like really thinking deep into like I said, like what the possible outcomes are at the end of the day, and like how hard would it be for me to get to this outcome, and like do I have to do more at this company like above my role to like get to that position, or like for it to even be a good outcome for me, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mhm.
And yeah, no, I just have a very pessimistic way of thinking. I like to
You
say.
think?
'Cause- yeah, because I always like to think about the worst kinds of scenarios, like the possible, like every single worst case scenario. I like think of, like Joseph said, I like to spiral, right? It's just like, oh, like what if this happens? What if this happens? But like the reason why like I'm able to stay sane when I'm doing that is because, oh, like, but what is the probability of that happening? It's probably
Yeah.
like 0.0001 chance, or like it's probably like 5%. You know,
It's also missing all the chances you don't take, though.
yeah. But then I see it as this as well. Like time is precious.
Yeah.
And if you, let's say you take this opportunity, take this chance, and it turns out to be a complete waste of time, you just wasted, I don't know how much time, when you could have sacrificed that time to actually be doing something useful, or like learning a useful skill to like prepare yourself for a better position, you know? Something like that. I see it that way, personally.
So you're the type to say more no's than yeses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
And you never look back on it later?
But when I do look back at it, I know I'm gonna regret a lot of time. Like if they became successful, right? Like if it was something that I should have taken, now I'm gonna regret, right? And there's no point in regretting. Like you already made the choice. Like just move on. Like look for new opportunities.
Okay.
Like I've learned that from Joseph actually. Like Joseph taught me to like just don't regret. Like you made the choice, you can't go back. Don't dwell on it. Just move on. Look for new opportunities. That's just how it is, you know. You can't be.
Oh, I do remember.
Yeah, you told me don't be dwelling on the past.
No, it's because what I told him was decisions that you made in the past, you made it at the time with the information you had, with the knowledge you had. That was the best decision you could have made for yourself. So in the future, when you look back at it and you know it turns out that you made the wrong decision, you can't really regret on it, because in that time, at that moment, with what you knew and how you felt, that was the best thing you could have done for yourself. So if you 100% guaranteed, if you went back to that time, back to that state, you would have made that same decision 10 times over.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter. You know what I'm
thought
saying?
so deeply about it. I feel like for me, when it came to that, all I would say is like, me thinking about it is a waste of my time. So it's just like not even, there's no point, because I can't go back and do anything about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But well, for me, it's like,
yours is like more deeper.
I need for myself, I need like a logical explanation to myself of why I shouldn't feel bad about it.
Yeah. Yours is more emotional, I feel like.
Yeah, and that's why that, like, when he said that to me, it like really resonated with me and like changed the way I think. Because for me, like, it was like some of like the choices I've made, some of my past, like, it's like really, it used to be very deeply rooted into my emotions and like just like my perspective on things. And I just had to move on from those kinds of my past, basically. And what he said really helped me to, you know, just like let go and accept that, you know, like even if I did go back, like
you would have made the same
I would have
choice.
made the same choice, like in that position, because of what I knew and how I felt during that time.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like regret is, I think you should only regret when you had the opportunity to do a different choice. But most times in the past, you're going to make that same dumb decision 10 times over. You know what I'm saying? 10 times over. With what you knew and how you felt, there's no way you're making a different decision. There's a reason why you made that decision, unless you were, like it's just,
unless someone else influenced your decision.
I mean, but
in which case it's
but it's the same thing. If you go back, they're going to be in your life again, and you're going to be too weak to overcome their influence on you. So regardless, at that time, in that moment, you know, you had to do what you had to do, and it's tough, but you know, dwelling on that and letting that affect your future decisions, that's going to put you in a worse state for sure.
Dwelling on it.
Yeah, because life moves on. It doesn't stop, you know, like just because you dwell on your past regrets.
That's what I mean. It's like a waste of time.
Keep walking. You just have to keep
moving.
I think it's a timing thing too. Because like, let's just say like you do regret it, but when you go back to that time of that mental state and like the position that you were in, and let's say that you made like the quote unquote right decision, or the other decision that you didn't make, you might not be ready for that opportunity, you know, like because of your state of mind. And so even taking a good opportunity when you're not in that position, where you're not ready, it would still make you regret it later on in life, because you were not in that state to be accepting that type of opportunity. So either way, it's just a timing issue. And like, yeah, honestly, regret is really pointless because regardless of which decision you made, I think it's really just about you taking responsibility over your actions and your decisions and doing what you will with that instead of dwelling back onto like what you could have done or whatever it might be.
If there's one thing that is good about regret, is just a lesson that it teaches us for the future. Basically, that's about it.
Yeah.
But like the act of like being in regret itself, right? Like being in the state of sorrow and regret, frustration, that really does nothing for you unless you convert that energy into something positive.
No, yeah, dwelling on the past, I feel like it always is very easy to fall into a victim mentality because the whole thing about the way that, you know, a lot of people think is you see your bad decision and then you try to find reasons and excuses of why you made that decision outside of your own thing. And then when it's like, oh, it's because of this person, it's because of the timing, it's because of this, it's because of that, like you're just that's a victim mentality. It's like because of things that's happening to me, it's like my life is, you know,
in shambles.
And then you're never going to learn what to do in the future because you always think, okay, bad things happen to me, you know, it's going to lead to a bad outcome. You're giving up control over your own life at that point. If you let the reason of everything else but yourself be the outcome of your situation, you know? So that type of thinking, it can be very dangerous because, man, you know what? This podcast, this should be a victim mentality hating podcast because
every time
I hate victim mentality. I hate it because I think it's the most dangerous thing ever.
Yeah.
It's the most dangerous thing ever. The victim mentality by far is the most dangerous thing. I think to a lot of issues that people have, I think the root of it is being in a victim mentality, not taking responsibility for your issue, not taking responsibility for your problem. I think that's the root cause of a lot of issues that a lot of people have in their lives. Because when you let a problem really take over your life, that means that you gave that problem
the control.
Yeah, exactly. You're not taking responsibility of it. You're letting that problem take responsibility of you. And at that point, it's just you're not fit to do anything. Yeah. My whole thing is I just want to promote every week, every episode, you know, take control of your own life because there is no other alternative where you're going to be happy unless you take control of your own life, you know, in the most small ways too. Like that's why my whole thing is even about like the littlest things like exercise, the way that you look. These are all things that the smallest things, but the most effective ways that will help you get out of victim mentality because you're taking responsibility for the way I look, taking responsibility for my health, things like that, especially when you're young, when you're capable of doing it, you know? So yeah, this podcast, it may profound profanity, but it's a victim mentality hating podcast. Okay. Number one victim mentality hater is me. I hate that shit. Yeah, I hate it. I have zero sympathy for victim mentality. Zero.
Haven't you been in that state before?
Victim mentality? In victimhood? Yeah, for sure. 100%. But that's why I hate it
even more.
Yeah, because I hated myself like that. I hated it. And
I think most people would.
No, yeah, I hate... No, it's because the problem with victim mentality is while you're in victim mentality, it's a weird way of feeling better about yourself.
Yeah.
It's a weird way. It's like even though the situation is bad for me, because you're relinquishing power over your life, you feel good.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, these things are happening to me. The world is bad to me. It's like, you know, it's me.
For me.
It's not my fault. It's like of course things are happening to me like this. Of course I'm in a shit situation. Of course I'm fat as fuck. Like, it's like, dude.
You haven't done anything.
Yeah. But in that weird way, looking at myself in times of, you know, when I felt like a victim, I hate myself like that.
Mhm.
There is nothing more disgusting to me than seeing myself in victim mentality. So, I mean, granted, it's not over an extended period of time. It can't be. There'll be little moments, like short moments where it's like something bad happens and it's like for maybe like 5-10 minutes. It's like, shit, like, oh, why is this happening to me? Why is it just me? It's like, you gotta slap the shit out of yourself. You gotta really take your hand.
Get out of the rabbit
Take
hole.
your strong hand. Take your strong hand and slap the shit out of yourself. Because that, if you stay there, it's a rabbit hole. You're gonna just keep on going deeper and deeper into victim mentality. You're gonna start making friends with people that are victims. You're gonna start ruining your life that way. You know what I'm saying?
I never even thought about that. Victims making friends with other victims.
Oh, of course, because it's like fucking, dogs licking each other's wounds. It's like, oh my god, you felt that way. It's like everybody hates me. Oh my, I felt that way too. Wow, let's hate the world together. Man, you gotta slap the shit out of yourself.
No, yeah. I don't feel like I feel like those people tend to just end up being single by themselves.
No, exactly. That's why none of my friends are really victims, because like it's just something about me and people with victim mentality. It's like I'm like a polar opposite of them. It's like I don't
see it as them not trying.
Like they just don't even want to come near me. They just don't even want. It's like the words I speak is just too strong for them. They can't accept it.
And I like another side to that. I'd say is like people that are just dealt terrible cards in life, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like even if you're dealt terrible cards in life, like let's say you have abusive parents, right? Or you're like born into like a really poor household. Something really bad, right?
Out of your control.
Out of your control, right? And then, like I get that you might feel like, oh, like why is this happening to me? And like you might feel spite towards God. But at the end of the day, like who is going to get you out of that situation? No one but yourself. At the end of the day, has the ability to get yourself out of the situation. Like it sucks, right? Like you never asked or deserved to be dealt some of these cards, but reality is, like, the world sucks. The world is mean. They don't care, if you were born into those kinds of circumstances. You're the only one to make it out.
That was in my book.
And
for real.
it sucks, right? For
real,
people,
there's no alternative for your life to get better unless you take responsibility, even though those are the cards you were dealt.
Like no one is going to take up your hand because you keep yapping about your circumstances and stuff like that. Everyone has their own lives to live. And
their own problems.
That's it.
In my book, his son, Think and Grow Rich.
Okay.
The son, he was like deaf when he was born, and he's like missing like a bone, I think, in his ear.
Okay.
So it's like the likelihood of him hearing was like absolutely zero.
Okay.
But his parents like never taught him any sign language, like all the way through college, I think.
Yeah.
And like regardless of his teachers like arguing with his parents about like him not being able to speak properly, I think in college or outside of college, he like was like invited to like a study, and then he used whatever machinery in his ear and he was able to hear. And then on top of being able to hear, he was able to speak normally afterwards. Because I don't know, this is where I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, because the whole time I was just talking about the faith and how his parents like were thinking like, no, we don't have a deaf kid. Like it doesn't matter. So they raised him
in denial.
In a way, yeah. Like this is literally what it's saying. It's like they had absolutely all the faith in him to hear again. And so they were raising him as a kid that could hear. So that's why like him going to school, he never learned any sign language, and he had to like go through all of that, which I don't understand how that works, but that's what they did. And the whole story is just like having faith and putting that faith in you becomes like, it becomes real to you. Because that's all you're believing. Yeah. Basically, is what I'm saying.
100%. That's why I think a lot of times, I genuinely think that everybody lives their own lives with such a different perspective on life. It's like their truth is so different. Their truth is so different for everyone. Like, for example, this guy's parents' case, like they were like, okay, my son he will hear. You
No,
know?
they were. That's
That's
exactly
what I'm saying. It's like everybody lives their lives in such interesting truths that if you think your truth is to be a victim, oh my gosh, stay away from me. Okay, stay away from me because I don't condone that kind of stuff. You know, it's just that being a victim is like, oh, it's so hard, but that's just their truth in their life. They see their lens. The minute they walk out, it's like, okay, things are going to happen to me. It's like, oh my God, this is such a sad way to live. But guess what? There is no alternative of getting somebody out of that situation but themselves, because there's just no alternative. You're going to be sad forever if you don't pull yourself out of victim mentality.
It's the whole things are happening to me versus things are happening for me.
Yeah, exactly.
Because now this kid like helps other deaf kids.
Exactly.
And he has like his whole company thing and whatever.
Yeah.
Which wouldn't have happened, I feel like, if his parents were just like sending him into like specific, like basically separating him from the norm.
Yeah.
At the beginning.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. The wallahi, victim mentality will kill you.
I mean, it's a good thing that that kid turned out okay, because most cases they don't. If a parent does that to like a deaf kid. But yeah.
You also just never know.
What? That the child is deaf?
No. You never know the outcome of his parents being like that.
No, yeah, he could have just it ended up in a very different way too.
Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Like, it's like,
I think it's just more about like, because they had so much faith, they were putting in more effort to be able to like have him have a normal, semi-normal life.
Oh, like faith in him to be able to hear again, or like what was the?
Because their faith was so strong.
Yeah,
I think it's like more about
faith in like what was the like the.
They literally were saying like he's gonna hear
again. Like he's going to be able to hear.
I don't think he could hear like period when he he could hear very 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 wait.
So these parents, right? Like they knew from
beginning he couldn't hear.
He was deaf, but they refused to like
believe that he couldn't hear.
Or like no, like what I'm saying is they refused to take up sign language or like any of these practices to help this kid. Is what I'm asking.
Because
in a way, that's literally what I know. It sounds like psychotic,
slightly delusional.
Yeah, no, I think that's so like.
No, I know
like,
what you're saying.
I'm so glad that this child turned out okay, but like most of the times, like in cases that the child doesn't, like he's screwed.
Yeah, could you imagine this kid does not have language? You know, there's some people without language. Like it's like rare cases of people
like when
that like don't have certain capabilities. They end up with no language. Because they were never taught.
There's also like what is it?
The
I think it's
kid or something.
Yeah,
the one
like they were never taught
like
language.
separated. They
no.
But isn't that
Not
their own language?
No, I'm saying this kid, right? Literally abandoned by their mother, raised by wolves.
Oh yeah, and then he starts speaking like that.
No, because these people found him, right, and they're trying to teach him human speech, but she can't speak human speech normally because it's over. Like she didn't develop like the proper like structures and like within her mouth to make those sounds basically, and she's like making like very like feral noises because that's how she grew up.
Okay, so with that said, in terms of our future, would you guys rather be famous or be not famous with a lot of money?
Money.
Yeah, money. But not famous, you're choosing one or the other then.
Yeah.
Right?
Because I was thinking about this before. I'm like, let's just say you're like filthy rich. You're obviously going to be famous for being filthy rich. And also, if you're really famous, you're probably going to be rich.
That's what I was thinking too. But that's why I was like,
there's some
not famous.
Broke ass famous people.
Yeah.
Where they
dedicated you can lose it. You could also lose the fame very quickly.
I mean, you could also lose money very quickly too.
That's true.
But yeah, I'd take money over fame any day.
No, me too.
Privacy.
I mean, there's some people that
would choose fame.
Yeah. Because the influence that you get, the recognition is makes them feel good,
Yeah, I don't really care about that.
Would you rather
want that? I don't want to be like bothered wherever I go. It's like, oh, isn't that guy? Or like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I don't want.
Yeah.
I just want to live my life in peace and luxury.
Now this is a different
Oh,
question
nice.
then. Would you rather? Okay, both scenarios you have money, but one is famous and one isn't.
I mean, obviously, I wouldn't want to be famous.
Well, yeah,
Like,
I know
did-
you don't want to be famous.
So how about this?
All of
You're
us.
you're just regular with no fame, or a bunch of money with fame. So like just a normal society like right now. You're just regular with no
so
fame.
I just pick a bunch of money with fame.
Regular amount of money with no fame, or a bunch of money but
Oh.
super famous. Like A-list celebrity, like you Tom Cruise, Kanye West.
I don't want to be famous.
So you be regular with
I'd be regular. Because, yeah, the thing is, you attract so many of the wrong crowds already, right? And not only that, like, you have people who expect things out of you, right?
Yeah.
materialistically, you'll never be able to do the things that you really want to do.
Yeah, but for me, right? Like, let's say, you know how I really love cars, right?
Mhm.
So, like, for every budget, there's a car that I would like be satisfied with, and for every budget, there's our experiences where I would be content with. Basically, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And the main thing for me, right, is like I just don't want the wrong attention, and I don't want to be, you know, like a slave to like expectation, basically.
Mm.
And like
Makes
it doesn't
sense.
matter like how much like plenty of celebrities commit suicide, you know,
Yeah.
like, over like
And
the
plenty
past, like,
don't.
past like 2-3 decades. And yeah, like and like famous people and rich people, right?
Mhm.
Like you've seen. And I feel like it's because of those pressures.
Yeah, that's a beautiful thing you said. Slave to expectation. That is a very tough thing. Slave to expectation. That I felt like a slave to expectation when I was in school, and it was like the day before test day. It's like, why the fuck do I always have to be tested? I hate being tested by some fucking school exam.
Imagine this, you're being tested every single time you're outside, you know?
Yeah. You know,
Screw that.
that does bring me over a little bit to the being normal side, but I think I still would like to be rich and famous.
Me too.
Same.
I assumed on.
Because
Take one for
I
the
like
team.
exceptionally
However,
big things.
building on top of that normal life argument, I feel like maybe I would be able to deal with it, but I wouldn't want that upon my kids.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that some celebrities, they don't show their kids'
Kids' faces.
faces because they don't want like the whole world to know about their kids. and,
Like Lively does that.
You know, here's the thing so Japanese celebrities, right?
Yes.
They will never share about their private lives, like whether they have families, whether they have wives and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
because they want for their families to be free of those like
Mm-hmm.
fans and like all that, like that famous life, basically, right? Because it can get very toxic and negative for them, so they choose not to like discuss these things, and when they're asked about these things, they just choose not to answer. And
Is it the same as in America? I feel like in America you can like look it up and it's not that
but
hard.
everyone knows, like, let's say like there's a famous celebrity and like they're dating someone, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
people will know, like, oh, like he or she's dating someone, like who has a new girlfriend, or like
Yeah.
Is there
What
no
I mean,
like
I feel like-
TMZ in Japan?
there's nothing
Yeah,
like
that's what
that
I'm
in Japan,
asking.
is what I'm saying. There's
There's no like
TMZ.
exploiting publication.
That's what I mean.
I
In
mean, yeah,
America-
there are like scandals here and there, right?
Yeah.
But it's not like all like reviewing like their family
So
details or
so you're
something
saying
like that.
culturally Japan is more respectful than American culture. They don't
Yeah,
want
for
to
privacy, I'd say.
they don't want to delve into
into like other like the private lives of famous people even.
Well, I mean, I feel like
I feel like
that's a
that's right.
cultural thing, and it's really hard to change that culture in
Yeah.
where we're at right now, unless you become a celebrity in Japan.
Would it change your answer if you were famous specifically in Japan and you lived in Japan?
I mean, if my private life isn't like digged through by randoms, you know, like I
No, but that's a loophole through the question. My question is, you have to accept all the downsides of being
International
famous,
famous.
but you get all the upsides of being famous as well.
yeah, I'd become like some kind of like really famous like Japanese racing driver or something, like Keiichi Tsuchiya. That'd be nice.
So that amount of privacy is okay with you? Because I mean, I'm assuming they don't have full privacy either way.
Yeah, people will
In
notice you when
Japan,
you go
yeah.
out.
Yeah, obviously when you go out,
And the
yeah,
expectations are
But
still slightly there.
they like the general public doesn't know what his family looks like. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
So
I
you
want
just
So
want
that
is
to
to-
that-
protect your family.
I want
Yeah.
at least, yeah, like if I'm going to be famous, like I don't want these people to be delving into
Your
the
family.
details of my family members and
But
stuff like
you
that.
yourself, you're okay with dealing with the downsides of being famous
I mean,
by
up
yourself.
to like a certain extent, like I still want my privacy. Another good example of a celebrity who's really good at keeping their their privacy is Cillian Murphy, Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he has no social media presence whatsoever.
I saw that.
And then in an interview, he said something like, "Oh, like I let people like think like, oh, I don't have anything to post about, or like people like let people like fantasize like what my life would be like,
Mhm.
but like I'm actually like living up. Like he says he's like he really enjoys his life, and I feel like
Where's he
I
live?
do something like that. The UK,
Uh-huh.
just keep a very low of a profile as possible.
Yeah, that Mandem, he's a good actor.
He is a
He
very
is
good actor.
good.
He is
He's
sexy
very
too.
charismatic, and would you look at that? He has no social media presence.
For real.
He would be killing it on like Instagram, Twitter, and everything. You know,
For real. You get like 10,000 bitches up in his DM.
he's married.
Is he?
He's been
Yeah,
married.
yeah.
Like he married like his like a girl that he met when he was doing his rock band. In
That
like,
ain't
the
gonna
90s.
stop. That ain't gonna stop bitches from hitting up his DMs. They gonna knock. But
Yeah, they're gonna.
there's just a
knock,
door. You
but
go knock.
it seems like
Anyways,
he's a very loyal man too.
no,
That's what I'm
I
saying.
bet he is. I bet he is.
He's a very respectable man.
100%. But yeah, you guys would be okay with the downsides of fame.
Yeah. I'll just suffer through it. And
Really?
then give the money to my family and friends and stuff.
You'll suffer through it.
Yeah. I think I would.
I see.
Are you suffering through it, or are you actually enjoying like that kind of lifestyle?
Both. I mean, there's still going to be downsides. That's why. Just taking both into account.
Do you guys have people in your life where you already know if you became rich and famous, it would just change the way they act towards you? Like,
I feel
friends
like
or
that's
family,
a lot of
like-
people.
But like,
I would change the way I act towards them.
Me too.
like it would change like to like.
I'm going
I
to
don't give a fuck how they act around me, but
I'm going to cut off
Who-
everybody I know when I get
Okay,
rich and
maybe-
famous.
Maybe not that.
I'm changing my phone number. I'm moving away to a different state. Like I'm cutting off everyone I know right now.
Is she going to be alone?
No, I'll find new friends.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm cutting off everyone.
There are certain people in my life where I have thought, I'm like, maybe like if I am doing pretty fucking well later on, I don't know if I want to be friends with them anymore.
Oh wow.
Mm.
So what's making you be friends with them still?
Yeah.
Okay, I guess they're not like super close to me, but like, because I just don't really have a reason. Like they're just there, you know.
Oh, I see. You don't.
Like I don't.
You
have a
can't. You
reason
can't be
against
bothered to.
them.
You can't be bothered to separate yourself from them.
Yeah, basically. Like I don't really.
Well, you
care
for sure
about-
know that you won't hit them up at all if you were to become rich and famous.
Yeah,
Interesting.
but that's because also I'm probably putting in more effort into the friendship than they are. So
Oh.
in the case that I mean, I think this is a little bit regardless of whether or not I get rich and famous or whatever, but it's more of a reason for me to do that because I know that they're probably going to hit me up knowing my status level at that point, and I don't want to deal with that.
I see.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm asking. Like, I don't want to be hit up by like friends and like family that like are
Yeah,
just
just
hitting me
because
up
of your
because I
status
became
level.
Yeah,
famous
all of
and
a
rich.
sudden, huh?
Mhm.
You know, I like, and I'm asking like, do you guys have people like that in your life that would just like all of a sudden, you know, like you guys are best friends, you know,
I
just
mean,
because
but the thing is, if they hit me up, if they hit me up all of a sudden, they're probably not in my life right now.
That's true.
Because you're talking about a case where it's like somebody you haven't talked to in years, and then all of a sudden they found out, and then they hit you up. They're not in my life right now.
Or like
I
they're
wouldn't
still
know.
in your life, right?
I don't know what I don't
I
know.
don't-
I mean, like,
I don't know what I don't know, my friend.
That's true. I feel like I keep like a safe distance between people like that.
yeah. Though I feel like I've cut
Like,
off people
regardless.
Like
I probably have like one or two people in my life, but I don't even like actually talk to them that often.
that. No, because thing I feel like it'll be so much harder to make friends once you're famous and rich.
Mm-hmm.
Because everyone whether you like it or not, like unless you're like not like this person doesn't know you at all, right? Your career or like how much money you have, like the first thing they're gonna realize and first thing they're gonna notice is that like your fame and money, like when they first approach you, whether you like it or not. I feel like.
This is
And
a
I feel like
quote.
there's gonna be like little things along the way. Like let's say you guys go out to eat or something. There's gonna be that like little like expectation of them wanting you to pay just because you're a lot more well off than they are. I feel like it kind of becomes that way. Actually, I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you guys think that your financial status affects your relationship with your friends?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like on what you can do and what you go out to.
No,
Or
not
what
even.
you eat.
I feel like
what?
You have to be wary against some people as well, depending on. Like, I'm not like shitting on them or anything, but just their practices and how they've grown up. They're very prone to exploit whenever they can, is what I'm saying, because they grew up that way. And I have to be very wary and like take care and make sure I have everything, like when I'm around these people.
Oh, because they've stolen from you?
Because like if it's like not necessarily like stolen, but like they will just take it. Like if it doesn't seem like it's anyone, like it belongs to anyone.
Oh, like if you're like out
And
then,
you
like,
found something.
yeah.
Like I have to be like very like
I see.
territorial in a sense. Like even like when we're eating out, right? If I don't get my hands on the food and like separate it out, I'm not gonna have a single bite to eat.
So they're just
So
Like I
they're
have to be
like-
territorial a little bit. You know what I mean?
Like they're taking all the food.
Or yeah, like there's various different things. Like I'm not looking down on these people or anything. It's just upbringing wise, right? And like
Yeah.
etiquette wise, they just didn't learn them. I'd say, and then you just have to be wary of that.
I don't know. I think the friendship dynamic will change because, let's just say, like, you know, you have a friend and they got very, very, you know, well off. All of a
Mhm.
sudden, like whatever they were doing, it worked out really well for them. Beyond your imagination, they got well off. I think, all of a sudden, that friendship, it kind of changes in a way where like, it's like you almost admire them and like you kind of want to, it almost feels like they turn into like I don't know, maybe this is just me, but like I feel like they turn in a little bit like
like a role model.
yeah, almost, but they're your friend. I guess it could be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it's not like a money issue where it's like when we go out to eat, like, you know, you expect them to pay or anything. It's just, it almost feels like, oh damn, like this guy, like he's done it. So like, it's almost like I want to learn from this guy more than it's just like, oh, let's just hang out and stuff sometimes, you know?
Do you think that like brings like a certain sense of like uncomfortable?
Could be. It's because when your friend that at one moment was with you in this same journey where it's like you guys are trying to get to an end goal, but then they already got there. And then you're hanging out with someone that got to where you want to be at, maybe like a very long time away. Then it feels kind of different. It feels kind of, you know, it's.
I feel like, yeah, it would be it would feel different on both sides, but for different reasons.
I think the easiest way to put it, it's like, it almost feels like all of a sudden you're hanging out with someone much older than you. All of a sudden, for some reason, because they just blew way past you in so many regards.
There's a statistic with this, but I don't remember the numbers. It was just saying how like if you hang out with someone that's better than you, then you're more likely to get better because they're better. But also on their end, if they're hanging out with someone lower than them, they'll slowly get worse. Like they don't gain anything from that.
Because they get complacent.
The better one?
I mean, like,
Yeah.
Oh, what? Okay, yeah.
because they're just like, oh, like people around me are lesser than me. So
Like, I'm
I don't
already
need to-
there.
I'm already here. I don't need to do more. Just like stay with the
Yeah.
status quo. Like I'm satisfied with it. And then at the end of the day, like you see these people like that you were looking down upon have already excelled you.
Mhm.
That's when it ends up happening. So,
Yeah.
It's also how much time they have, let's say. Like, let's say that person's working a lot, but then they see their friends like not doing much. And so those friends, they keep wanting to go out, but this person just wants to work and make the money. Except the friends are dragging him down to go out, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Or I feel
Or-
like that could be the case, but on the flip side, they could just be like,
Working too much.
no, like it's like
What?
dumb to hang out with them now. Cause you're like your lifestyles are so different at that point.
Yeah, like your values change a little bit just because,
Yeah.
like, let's just say for people around our age, we're more about financial stability. But you're hanging out with a financially stable person that used to be your friend, that used to be where you were at. So this dynamic, it changes the values in your life, like the things that you are looking towards and going towards. It's so different now, because when I'm worried about, okay, how am I gonna live for the next 6 months? But then they're worried about, what am I going to do with the wealth I accumulated now to grow this over the next 10 years? So it's just like your time horizons, first of all, are so different. And when two people that like that, unless, you're like when you're interacting with each other, it's going to feel a little bit different.
Yeah.
Especially each other knowing that, yeah, damn, we've changed. It's just, it's almost a sad thing where it's like, damn, we're not in it together anymore. Because you're already over there.
You used to like party together, go out to clubs together, and now one person is working and like has that lifestyle that they wanted to achieve and has achieved it, and this one friend is still here like partying, going out every night, whatever. And it's just like when they look at you, it might not, like
it's just different.
Perspective is
It's
going
just
to
different.
change.
and then the next step after that would be your friend gets married and has kids, and then
Okay,
Yeah.
and then your friend dynamic changes again to where the couples will only hang out with
With
other
other
couples,
couples. Yeah.
That's so true.
I definitely agree with that. Whereas, your friend dynamics change.
I think it's definitely very hard to find couples or like married couples have like single friends.
Yeah, and you know what? I always found? It looks weird as fuck when there's like a single person hanging out with a married couple. To me, it looks like really like weird for some reason. I don't know why. It almost feels like a 2-on-1 situation. You know what I'm saying?
It's like when they're the same age, yes, but like if let's say like
No, even when they're the same age, for me, like it's like
No,
just one person,
like-
and then it's like hanging out with two people.
no, it feels weird when they're the same age.
Oh
is what I'm
yeah,
saying. But,
exactly.
like when
exactly.
they're not the same age, let's say like one party's like significantly younger. and
Yeah,
then,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
they're meeting with the couple.
yeah.
I don't think it's that.
Yeah, I mean that it's like
But when they're the same age, just
then
get eyebrows raising a little bit. You know,
it's just it doesn't
Go
look.
find someone.
Yeah. It's like, damn, you really don't have anybody to hang out with, so you gotta like bother this married couple and their family.
That's such a sad way to put it.
I mean, that's what it kind of looks like. It's just like, you know what it is. Damn well this married couple doesn't need to hang out with you. With that person. Damn well they don't care. They like on their priorities of people that they could hang out with and things they could do. Hanging out with this single person is not even like probably top 10 on their priority list. Come on now. Like if I thought, to hang out with this single guy over another family, probably just hang out with another family. Like it's just,
or another couple.
it almost feels like it's like when you're dating, and then you meet one of your single friends, it's almost like you got to cater to that single friend. But then if you're on like a double date, it doesn't feel like a catering situation anymore.
And also like with the couple thing as well, like it's just the conversations will definitely align. Like if when two couples meet up, right? Like they talk about their kids, what are you guys doing with your kids, stuff like that, or like
parenting stuff.
But like let's say like it just doesn't match up. Like what are you guys gonna talk about other than, I don't know, like
Other
what the single
hobbies.
person would want to talk about. The couple would probably want to talk about parenting and, like living as a family and stuff. And that's probably the reason why their friend groups turn into other couples as well when you grow up.
Yeah, man. That's why, like, later on in life, when you're like 50 or whatever, and you're married to your husband, you probably most likely will only have married couple friends at that point. Because having a family, having a spouse, your lifestyles are just so different, for one. Second, you're only friends with the people you're friends with because you guys are compatible in some way, shape, or form. There's a certain topic that you guys can relate on. But if your lifestyles are so different, and like obviously your values are going to change, your priorities are going to change, and at that point you're living two separate lives that are not relatable in any sense anymore, and you just don't. Maybe you're not like not ever friends with them again, but there's definitely going to be a very big distance or a gap in your friendship at that point.
Like you basically hit a wall with that friend, like in terms of progress, unless you can, become relatable on that level, right? With that couple, you're gonna be at a wall basically. I feel like that's what happens. Like when you look at it visually.
No, yeah. I mean, different places in life, it's hard to get along.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Moving on to our next and last topic.
Should we do that one? I feel like
This is good.
What?
Yeah. I feel like it like takes it away from the points that we had today.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyways, thank you for listening to another wonderful episode 19. Next week, we'll probably do some special thing. It's 20, so we'll probably do something. We'll see. Follow us on the Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram.
Spotify.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Motherfuckers. Anyways, bye.
Bye.
Bye.